My first experience with Shakespeare was when I was about 13, and I went to see an amateur production of Hamlet, and I was absolutely bowled over by it. It was probably a really bad production, really badly acted, but that didn't matter. I was just mesmerised by the world, the story, the thriller element of the story, these incredible characters. I'd never, ever seen anything like it. And I fell in love with Shakespeare there and then. And then I started doing a little bit of Shakespeare at school. And I think it was my experience with Shakespeare that really led me into becoming an actress.
Well, in English schools, they force you to learn about Shakespeare, and it's boring because it's sort of like medicine stuffed into your brain like some ghastly little pill or some gloopy cough syrup. And then, like, I was trained to be an actor, and I went to like a good drama school, and they teach you about, like, you know, they teach you again, and you start to discover all this like magic in the language, and importantly that Shakespeare like plays had to compete when public entertainment was like bear baiting and dog fighting, and most interestingly, a monkey on horseback. You could go and pay like, I don't know, a couple of quid, a few dollars. A monkey on horseback being attacked by dogs, right? Which is very cruel, we now know, in the modern world, but in them days that would have been fun. So like, it's disgusting. I'm vegetarian, member of PETA, all that stuff. So, but like in them days, so Shakespeare plays had to be entertaining in a very sort of straightforward way. They had to be powerful. So then you start to engage with, oh, it's not just for posh people or educated people, it's accessible mass entertainment. So by the time, like, you know, Julie Taymor goes, do you want to be in this? I mean, of course, having now worked with a brilliant director like Julie, that's heightened my understanding of Shakespeare. But like, I was ready to do something like that, and very, very honoured to be asked in such incredibly illustrious company.
My relationship is very, I guess it's on a honeymoon stage. See what I mean? This is new. This is all new to me. Again, I feel like it's a completely new language, and it was tough. It was very hard to really understand Shakespeare, and then having to, you know, interpret it like that, and in this setting was very difficult too.
I wanted to be a Shakespearean actress. I didn't want to be a movie star. I didn't want to do film. I didn't want to be on TV. I didn't want to be on a soap on TV. I didn't want to be on a series on TV. I didn't really want to do Oscar Wilde or anything. I just wanted to be a Shakespearean actress, and I wanted to be a great Shakespearean actress. And to achieve that, you just have to do it a lot. So for the first 8 years of my professional life, I did nothing but Shakespeare, basically. And then I started branching out a bit and doing other things. Then I started doing film. And then, you know, and then I moved on a bit, and then I had enough of Shakespeare. I just didn't want to do Shakespeare. I would go and see Shakespeare, but I didn't want to act in it again.
Daunting initially, the prospect of working with Dame Helen, because she's called Dame Helen. That sounds like, oh my God, Dame Helen. She's going to karate chop me in the windpipe and sneer and icy stare and freeze me, and I'll genitally retract. But actually, she's this sort of convivial, warm, beautifully talented human being. That's just like, so there's some people that just to be in their presence heightens things, and she's certainly one of those. She's a wonderful actor, and like, I remember I'd done my first scene, right, and I was like doing, like, Djimon was in it, but he was like on the floor, meant to be hiding under a blanket, and Helen like came and watched me, and then afterwards she went, well, that was fantastic, that was brilliant, and I've like made me feel like confident, because it was such a generous and kind thing for her to do. And since then I've sort of fallen in love with her, really, in a kind of, in the way that one can fall in love with someone enamoured of. You know, she's a beautiful person.
You obviously know the makeup was so much, and that also was extremely challenging. I sort of cursed it for a minute, you know, because it was so difficult that I cursed it the whole time I was making it. But I guess it really took me there. I mean, I was literally Caliban every time I would come out of that makeup room.
He's an incredibly intense man. I think he's a brilliant actor, and I think it's an extraordinary performance from him. He was somewhat impaired by the 8-hour makeup job that he had to do each day to look like that. I think it's a phenomenal look, but like it must have been really horrible to wear that makeup. I think it sent him a bit mad. Like, but I think it came out in the performance and made the performance better, even better.
He's right. He's right. He's the other element that was, made me angry. Russell is the other element that made me angry, but he was so talkative and so funny. It was really hard to keep cool around him. And I needed to stay cool because, I mean, obviously my temperature, goes up a little bit. Then the makeup started to come off. And so he didn't service, helped at all. But yeah, definitely, it was fun. We had a great time.
I was saying, well, what can I do? And then I saw The Tempest, and as I was watching it, I thought, my God, that could be played by a woman. You don't have to change a word of the dialogue. All the relationships would work. It's the only play of Shakespeare that this is true of. And I thought, I think maybe I'll go to a theatre sometime and say, I want to do Shakespeare and I want to do The Tempest. And that was sort of how, and then I met Julie and we came together and this is what we did.
That speaks to Julie's vision, like that she's identified these incredible landscapes, these almost Martian terrains, rich red soils and sort of asteroid boulders, peculiar places that I have never seen anywhere like it, and these black volcanic landscapes, so I think she did an incredible job of creating this world that was sort of identifiably mundane or mondial, but was evidently unearthly also. And it's amazing to be there, and I think it gave the story the fusion of naturalism and mysticism required to convey something like The Tempest, which is about the fusion of both nature's power and alchemy and all those kind of ideas.
Oh, absolutely. The setting is a character. I mean, it was so... to tell you, some of those areas where we filmed that were very sacred places. I mean, nobody walks around those places. Matter of fact, when we set stage there to shoot, that made us, all of us, aware not to drop anything there, and certainly not to touch anything, not even to remove a little stone or whatever. So we were very limited to what we had to do there, and obviously it sort of like really impacted my character in the sense that I really was limited to a certain, a very small environment to act with Helen, and that sort of shocked me when I came. We started doing the scene, and I realized I couldn't go, here, there, and it was just. It was interesting.
Well, I thought Hawaii was a genius choice on Julie's part for the island. Of course, there are beautiful little islands all over the world, but it was a brilliant choice. It has this Jurassic feeling, Hawaii. It's still being created. It's the youngest landmass in the world. And because of that, it has this ancient Jurassic feeling of how the world used to be, a billion years ago. So it was a great concept to put, and the landscape is as important a part of the film as the actors.
I think that with what we imbibe culturally currently, and the manner through which I'm probably primarily received through sort of like gossip and celebrity-based TV, is, I think, if not toxic, pointless, but possibly toxic. So for young people to have access to the kind of ideas, language and beauty that is evident in the writing of Shakespeare, the acting of Helen Mirren and the direction of Julie Taymor is valuable, and it's certainly a better distraction than a lot of the things. I mean, they'll be snobby about the Hills or Jersey Shore. They have their cultural place, but when it becomes the entire culture is this gaseous fog of nonsense, then one hopes for some sort of antidote, which perhaps could be provided. But you've got to make it appealing, because people aren't going to just watch things if they think, it's good for you. It's got to be good. It's got to be entertaining, and this is.